So I know the news of Nuno's sacking is it still hasn't quite sunk in, has it? But of course, Fosun will be wanting to look at alternative options, and they're probably looking at those already now ahead of next season. It is going to be one of the craziest, most interesting, and probably one of the most crucial summer transfer windows and summers in general for Wolverhampton Wanderers as a club in a long, long time. Well, in today's video, I'm going to be looking at 5 different managers Wolves should be considering to take over at the club from Nuno Espirito Santo. Of course, it's always great to hear your comments. If you have any suggestions on who Wolves should be looking at, let me know in the comment section down below. And if you've got any thoughts on the 5 names that I'm going to be mentioning today, of course, it's pretty heavily rumoured straight away that ex-Benfica manager Bruno Lage was very heavily linked with being approached by Wolves, but a little bit of a spoiler, he isn't on my list. So here are 5 more names that I think Wolves should be considering to take over at Molineux. Manager number 1 is Paulo Fonseca, the current Roma manager. He is going to be leaving the Italian club at the end of the season. He is going to be replaced by Jose Mourinho, who it would have been very interesting to hear the links if he was still available at this moment in time. But I've put Fonseca, the Portuguese boss, as my number 1 on this list. Currently playing a 3-4-3 formation or a 5-2-3, very similar to what Nuno has been doing over the last number of years, really. So it's one that I think Fosun could look at, and if they wanted to see that particular style still at the club, I think a lot of the players will be used to that sort of shape and system. He's definitely one that should be considered. Quite an aggressive way of playing sometimes as well. You can look at some of his past results. Some games he has massive wins, some games he has massive losses, just with how he and his team play, really. Using Edin Dzeko at the time as that sort of spearhead at the front, holding that ball up, bringing other players into play, and I think that's a role and mould that Raul Jimenez could definitely fulfill, really. They like to overload that the pitch centrally, and I really think his style of play and system could suit the players currently at the club. Had a phenomenal record in Ukraine with Shakhtar Donetsk before leaving to join Roma as well. He took over from a really long-standing manager in Ukraine, and he was phenomenal with his honours won and his win ratio overall as well. And one of the things he's got at Roma, he's got his central midfielders scoring goals as well, and I think that's what we need to see Wolves do more of. Of course, got to the Europa League semi-final this season, and in the end they were thrashed by Manchester United in the first leg, if you remember. But yeah, very unlucky, and had a decent run in Europe and finished, they should finish 7th this season in Serie A in Italy. But he's going to be available from the summer. I think he's definitely one that Wolves should be keeping their eye on. So number 1, Paulo Fonseca. Number 2 on the list is a name that many of you will be familiar with. It's Rafa Benitez. So Benitez, of course, the last time he was in England, he was managing Newcastle United, but most recently managed in China with a Dalian Professional. He left there at the start of this year, mainly due to his family and their safety due to COVID-19, wanted to make sure they were safe. But he is available to bring in as a manager. Now, this is one that I was umming and ahhing about. You know, earlier this year when the whole situation with Nuno was going on and people were talking about Nuno in or Nuno out, and I just thought, but who are we going to bring in? And Benitez was one of those names that was bandied about, and I just wasn't 100% sure on him. But I think with a slightly stronger squad and probably with more backing, you'd hope, than what he had at Newcastle, I think Benitez could really build a strong side. He's just got such a fantastic CV with the honours he's won at Liverpool, Chelsea, you know, been at Napoli, Real Madrid, just to name a few of the clubs. But of course, most recently at Newcastle, where I think you've got to say he did a fairly decent job with the facilities and with the players that he had at his disposal. Played a 4-2-3-1 predominantly. Of course, we've seen spells of that this season from Wolves. 4-2-3-1. Once again, I think that could suit the existing playing squad. Can go down to a 4-5-1 when he's defending. He does enjoy squad rotation, though. That's something that he's been known of throughout his career. So you would think that Wolves would have to bolster that squad slightly, you know, to suit that squad rotation that Benitez does like. But like I said, so decorated and so experienced as a manager, and maybe that's the next step Wolves need to take. Someone that knows the Premier League fairly well and just can hopefully take us to that next step. Next up on my list is probably the most ambitious of the lot. I've put Julen Lopetegui, the current Sevilla manager, on this list. Like I say, I think this is by far the most ambitious. One of the ones that I don't really think, I think he would need a lot of persuading to come across to Molineux. But of course, he's the Sevilla manager. He was the Sevilla manager that beat Wolves last season as the Spanish club went and won the Europa League last season. It's been a great season for them this campaign as well. They could still finish ahead of Barcelona in third place. It's going down to the last game of the season. Very comfortably in the top four in Spain, but could finish third ahead of Barcelona if they win and results go their way tomorrow in La Liga. But a very decorated manager as well. It's still a young career, you could say. He's managed Porto, he's managed Spain, had a little bit of drama there, managed Real Madrid for a little bit, and of course currently Sevilla, where he's doing a really, really good job. He tends to play with a 4-3-3 type system, so 3 midfielders, 2 wingers, and a striker. But very interestingly, he has got previous with Wolves, and in particular Fosun, very close relationship with them, as Fosun were taking over the club a number of years ago. Lopetegui and Fosun were working very close together, hand in hand really, and Lopetegui was supposed to take over as manager when Fosun bought Wolves. Of course, Kenny Jackett was very quickly sacked and they brought in Walter Zenga, but that was meant to be Julen Lopetegui. So he has got previous with Wolves. He didn't join the club as Spain, of course his nation, offered him the job. So how different life could have been. Of course, that would have been life without Nuno, but there is a relationship there. But Lopetegui's got it really, really good at the moment at Sevilla, and I think this would be a very ambitious move. Next up on my list is the only British manager on my list. It's Steven Gerrard. He's had an unbelievable time over in Scotland. Fantastic league campaign. A league win for him with Rangers, finishing the league season unbeaten. Again, another manager that likes that 4-3-3 type system. And I think it's clear to see, if you do a little bit of research on him and his system and his tactics, he's obviously learned so much as a manager in these last 2 or 3 years in management, really. Just you can see sort of the processes and progresses, how his team have progressed and the processes that he's done, and to just tweak his systems and of course get just that right balance this season, which has meant they've had a phenomenal season really. He's had 2 really good campaigns in Europe as well. He's done so well. Personally, I think for a team of that calibre and quality, no disrespect to Rangers, they should not be, on paper, they should not be doing as well as they were doing in Europe and giving games and teams they were giving games to so much. So I think he's done a phenomenal job there. I don't think this would happen this summer. I think this is almost a summer too early to get Steven Gerrard. I think he would want to carry on his project at Rangers and see how they do and how he can do. Can he retain that title? Can he do well in the Champions League next season? But I genuinely think this is the type of club Gerrard would need, because I think we can all see, at the other end, at the light at the end of the tunnel for Gerrard, it's going to be that Liverpool job. But I don't think Liverpool would want to appoint him until, he's either done fantastically well for a number of seasons at Rangers or proved himself in the Premier League. And I think a club like Wolves, a mid-table-ish club, possibly, with a little bit of oomph that can knock on the door for European football, I think Liverpool would love to see him prove himself at that level. And I think Wolves would be a perfect club for him, for a forward-thinking young manager. But possibly, unless Fosun can get that money talking, I think it may be a summer too early. But Gerrard would be definitely one of the ones. Probably, to be honest, one of the only British managers that I would consider to take over at Molineux. And my final manager on the list, another manager that is currently available, is Andre Villas-Boas. Now, of course, another ex-Porto boss, but someone that's got plenty of Premier League experience in his long but still very young career. Been tutored by some of the best in Portugal, was very close with Sir Bobby Robson. And I still can't believe he's only 43 years of age. He's been in management over 11 years now, and most recently managing France for Marseille, where he actually lost his job due to a disagreement with the board. They signed a player right at the end of the transfer window that he did not want to sign, and actually got suspended from his job and ended up being replaced. So, you know what? He's managed Chelsea, he's managed Spurs. His time in England has been a little bit underwhelming, but his record still as a manager is pretty decent. I know at the time of losing his job at Spurs, he had the best win percentage in the league of any Tottenham manager in Premier League history. In Chelsea, of course, it's such a poison chalice at times, that job. But he's last season in the league with Marseille finished second in the French league. Wasn't doing as well this year before losing his job. But it has been said that wherever he's been, really, especially at France, in France at Marseille, he increased the quality of results and the playing and team ability at Marseille considerably. Predominantly, again, playing a 4-3-3 type style, like the last two managers that I've spoken about. Gerrard plays that sort of system as well, and that's how AVB plays. But they are my 5 managers I think Wolves should consider to take over and replace Nuno Espirito Santo at Molineux. Guys, let me know your thoughts on those names that I've suggested. Of course, there's so many different managers that I could have talked about today. Another one is the current Porto manager, Conceição. But again, I think that's probably slightly out of the Wolves' grasp. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, guys. Be sure to hit the like button down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And until next time, I'll see you all very, very soon.